I have helped hundreds of folks, and I have seen thousands of houses in and around the Charlottesville area. And I'm here today to tell you the houses I would not buy in Charlottesville, Virginia. So stay tuned. Let's go and let's learn something. Number one, and this is actually why this entire video idea came to me. The past couple of weeks have been a shit show because of this first house that I'm talking about. And that is number one. You do you, but I'm telling you, because I cannot keep my mouth shut, working with you, I'm going to give you the full down low. I'm going to be honest. I am sorry if you think it's the house of your dreams and it's ultimately your decision. These are houses I would never ever buy. First up, because like I said, the past couple of weeks, shit show, and that is flip houses. Flip houses, hands down, not always. So do not come after me. If you're an investor and you do flip houses and you're like, Pam, I do blah, 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 blah. Fabulous. But most often, and I have seen these across the board, we are seeing bad flip houses just flooding the affordable housing market. So it is nothing short than lipstick on a pig. And if you do not know that term, let me explain. So if you think about it, a pig, you make a purse out of a sow's ear. It's that whole making something out of something that lipstick on a pig. So it is a pig of a house. You put a little bit of lipstick on it, a little bit of rouge, and then you put it out in front of the fair director and you say, look, it's a $500,000 pig. That is a cheap flip. Why? Here's the couple warnings that you need to be aware of. First off, you need to call me. Call me, text me, email me. This is just going to give you backdrop so that when I say to you, Omar, that house is a flip house. And I'm telling you, I've looked at the history, and here's why we do not need to waste our time. Okay? This is nothing more than that. Here are the warnings. Fast turnaround. Shoddy, cosmetic only updates, appliances, bad paint jobs, new floors, but they're cutting corners. These are traditionally owned by LLC, so not by an individual, by an LLC, a limited liability corporation. Limited tells you right there, and often done by inexperienced workers. These are all things to look out for. Often what happens is everything I just listed, the paint, you open it up, it's a $300,000 and $400,000 house. And it is so cute. It's built in the 1950s and they have just revitalized it. It's freshly painted. The floors are brand new. All the cabinets are new. Now there's brand new appliances. But then what you find, often leaving major systems untouched. Systems such as the roof, the HVAC, the septic. And this is a prime example of one I was just dealing with. Super cute house. They had flipped it. The owners had owned it since the end of December 2023. So they had owned it 6 months. You walk in, it was an obvious 1950s home that was so cute. Everything looked so cute. Fresh paint. They had put down laminate floor when I know there was hardwood floors, so the hardwood floors must have looked like hell. But again, that's cool. That's cool. A lot of people are going to the luxury plank, luxury vinyl floor, so that's fine. We did a home inspection, and I wish I had building blocks to show you. The home inspection came back. The HVAC was rusted out, and it was an R12. So this HVAC was living day by day. So it was performing fine the day we did the inspection, but any day it would have just died. It's on limited life support, okay? It was rusted out, old refrigerant, so we knew that'd be an issue. Underneath in the crawl space, the floors had sunk, and so they had propped them up in essence by stacking boards on dirt, and then it was, I guess, going to be too many boards to stack up, so they put a couple of boards straight up and down and a board on top. I am positive that was not a engineered, specific, or approved design, especially putting boards on directly on dirt, because that's just like being like, hello, termites, we have brought you a home. Seriously. So again, you'd never know this because again, all pretty, everything inside. But then the coup de grace was when we got to the septic, because I told my clients, I said, this house, we need a good home inspection and we need a full septic inspection. And I can tell you all what that is later. Septics are not a big deal, but there are certain red flags, and this is why you want to work with me. You don't want to try this on your own. I'm standing there with the septic inspector. He's not there for 20 seconds, and he puts the pole in to pop off the lid of the septic tank. And again, not even 20 seconds. He pops the lid and he goes, oh, you have major issues, and this is, in essence, condemned. This house cannot, you can't live in this house. Your septic, and here's what it was. The septic tank turned out to be, in its current state, it was a cinder block homemade septic tank. So it was not holding content. Comes to find out, they just added a septic field to it 40 years ago. So they've known what it was. So we instantly dropped contract. Like, I got in the car. We didn't even do the septic inspection, because once he popped it, I said, stop, stop. We're dropping contract. That was the epitome of lipstick on a pig. It looked so cute. They had flowers on the porch. They had it staged. It was so cute, so affordable, such a shit show. So again, I would never buy a flip home. The other part of that is you often have, here's what I like to know. I want to know, did they pull permits? Well, when I went to research this particular property, they had not pulled permits. Even after I had notified them about the septic, they still had not pulled permits to replace, which they have to. They had not pulled permits for their whole flip, and it included adding a bathroom, which you have to have a permit. So I want to know about the permits. I want to know, because the permits give you a couple of layers of inspections. I'm not saying insurance, inspections. So more eyes on the prize during the process. And it gives you a paper trail. So if you close on a house and it has all of that in process, then you can go back to the responsible party. Again, going back to my example of the past couple of weeks, they had none of those. They had nothing at all. So if it is quality work, if it is a good flip, permits have been pulled, licensed contractors have performed the work, everyone's been paid, due diligence has been in place, we can move forward. But overall, I will not buy a flip house. So this is why you got to reach out to me, because you may not know. I can look in the back pages. I can look out back and know history. That's why, again, this is why you want to work with a local expert. I know you have friends. I know you have family all over. And if you're licensed, a realtor licensed in the state of Virginia, officially you can work anywhere, but you're not a local expert, and you really do want to work with a local expert. So call me, reach out to me before you start. It's too expensive. It's too big of a purchase for you to do this on your own. All right, next house I would never, ever own myself. Houses that are on busy roads. And unfortunately, we're seeing those more and more because, again, houses were built and the roads were just a little 1-lane, 2-lane road in the country. And now they are major roads, but I would not purchase a road a house that is directly on a busy road. It can be noisy, it can be dirty. Homes that are located on a busy road with double yellow lines is another one that oftentimes my clients are like, nope, don't want it. If there's a double yellow line in a neighborhood, it's indicative that it is a cut through, again, meaning a busy road. So whether you have a 2-legged baby or a 4-legged baby, that can be of danger. And people who do not want to buy on a busy road instantly will not even look at it. Even if the house is made of gold and has been handed down from the gods up above, you are still cutting into. I would not buy a home on a busy road. Okay, next up, number 3. I would never buy a home with major structural issues. If there are if the foundation has shifted, you can see patching quotes. I can't get a licensed quote and repair if there are wet, moldy basements, costly and difficult things that need to involve a structural engineer to potentially evaluate. It's going to fall off my list. I am not going to buy any home that has major structural issues. There's just too much, and then there's traditionally too much history behind it. So even if you see it now where it is, you don't even know what has happened to get it to that point. Next up, but again, this is why you need to call me. Multiple issues. If a house has multiple issues, roof is shot, HVAC is rusted out, there is termite damage in the crawl space, there is mold in the basement. If there are major multiple issues, I would not touch that house. Now the next one is going to be similar to the busy roads. I personally would never buy a house and I've sold several, and I have had clients who've bought because it was the perfect house for them, and we worked through it, we talked about things, and they love the house, and I think the house really was perfect for them. Homes that back up to or front major industrial power lines. Now I'm not talking, because we still have many above ground wires. Our utilities are not all underground. They're in the process, but you still have some houses that the utilities come above ground. I'm talking about the big boys, those power lines that they look like men standing like this, right? And they're huge and towering, and you're pretty sure they make fish have 6 eyes or whatever it is. Again, I would never own it. I have sold them. My buyers have bought them. It's got to be the right house, but I would not touch them. It just eliminates too much. It's not going to be the same as a neighbor down the street where you can't see the lines. Their house could be worth, and I'm just saying these numbers, their house could be worth $100,000 more, but because yours has the full view of those industrial power lines, you're going to lose a lot of potential buyers. Next up, homes that I would never own. Again, I know I'm not buying this home. I'm working for you, with you. I'm either trying to sell your home or I'm trying to find you the perfect home. But these are homes I would never live in, but these are also situations where many people don't think of them. And of course, I point out because I want to be the devil's advocate. I want to make sure you have little angel Pam going, oh, this is perfect. The schools are perfect. The neighborhood's perfect. And then I want to have little devil Pam going, it has mold. It has a hole in the roof. It backs up to industrial power lines. I want to be there for you. So next up on our list, here's one you don't think about. Homes with steep driveways. You don't think about it. But if it's a steep driveway up, it could be a vision line of impairment. Meaning, when you pull in and you're going up, you can lose where you're driving, and especially after you have to turn and pull into say a garage. That's going to be an issue with a driveway going, fairly straight up. It's not going to go straight. I know it's not a 90-degree driveway, but a steep driveway I would not own. On the other end of that, steep driveways going down. Same thing. You're not going to have to worry about the ball going up into the road, but what you are going to have to worry about, again, is that line sight of impairment, that visual impairment. You are also going to have to worry about, with a house that's down, you're going to have to worry more so about radon and about water issues flowing down, because it's coming from somewhere, so it's going to flow down directly into that house. That's why those are houses I just personally would not consider. Next up on our list, and this is one that has changed for me since I've actually been in the profession, shall we say. Much older homes, and definitely homes over 100 years old. Here's why. I think they're so cool, and I think they have such character, and I love those original aspects, the real wood, the floors, the trims, the arches. Oh my gosh. Love, 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 love. But here's why I would not, unless I really fully, thoroughly inspected. Older homes, lead pipes. They will have lead paint. That's not a big deal. Lead pipes, old galvanized plumbing, which is at this point in age, is going to be leaking. It's going to be rusting. Cast iron. We see this a lot with our older homes with septic tanks. When they turn out the cast iron, when they update the cast iron, I found out they normally just let the cast iron part fall into the septic tank and live there until it just disintegrates, which I didn't know. I thought that was cool. I learned that from a septic person. Anyways, would not own an older house because of the cast iron, including out to the street, which is something you do not think about that. Remember, it can be from the house to the street is your responsibility. From the house to the septic is obviously your responsibility. So or out to the well, if your house is on a well, I would not. Older houses also with electrical issues, old knob and tube or aluminum wiring, I would not do it. Asbestos was in more things than you will ever know, from siding to roofing to flooring, insulation. The problem is, and honestly, you can find asbestos use up through, I think, like the 70s. And most of the time, if it's something like flooring or something, it's not really actually not a big deal. But in these much, much older homes, it can be expensive and it can be a hazard. And it is not something that any DIY or homeowner can deal with. This is like a full-on, people in bunny suits, breathing apparatus have to take this stuff, deal with it on a professional level. So I just wouldn't do it. The other thing about older homes, which you don't think about, is going to be the substandard or hazardous features. In this area, some of the things I have seen include pass-through. So I know there was a house that was on Park Street, which is one of our very historic neighborhoods, and it had pass-throughs, and in essence, secret pass-throughs. But again, that's just an invitation for disaster. Laundry chutes. The house I grew up in Carsbrook, had a laundry chute. Dumb waiters are things that are found, and a big one, deep staircases, because realistically, especially the very old houses, the stairs, it was not a finished space, but it was access to a secondary level. But now, as we've incorporated that second level or that basement as part of our living space, we can't replace the steps most of the time because there's no room, but the steps can be so steep and so shallow. So very thin steps that go down very, very quickly. So all of those are reasons I would not own a home, a very, very old home, especially one over 100 years old. Next up, this one may or may not make sense to you. I would not own a home in a flood zone. You have to be notified, and flood insurance is not part of your home insurance. And flood maps are created by the insurance agency, and they normally have levels of when a home could flood. They have a 100-year flood plan. They have a 500-year. If I had a house Now, sometimes the yards will dip into a flood zone, but you don't have to worry about that because there's nothing to insure. But I would never own a house that was in a flood zone. Again, I've had clients purchase and I have sold homes in flood zones, but it is something that I want the clients buying or selling to know. That is a secondary insurance from the government, and it can vary greatly. I've seen flood insurance range from as low as $700 up to about $3,000 a year. That is in addition to your primary home insurance. All right, next one. This is one that comes and goes. A home with a buried oil tank. Now again, the home I grew up in Carsbrook, had a buried oil tank. So this is something very normal to me and very standard. It had a septic tank, it had a buried oil tank, it had a bomb shelter because, hey, everybody needs a bomb shelter. Anyways, I would not, now with the environmental impact, I would never ever, unless it was totally taken care of. Homes with decommissioned tanks. That means the tank is still in the ground, and unless it has been fully and it has had certificate issued to it of being decommissioned by the local and soil to check for it to be contaminated. But unless a tank was fully removed, if it was tested, meaning no oil got out into the ground, dirt or groundwater, there's no sign of the oil, and if so, it was remediated. This is a major expense. Now, right now, I think there is still a federal government insurance plan that if you find out you have contaminated oil in your soil, I think you can pay like a $2,500 fee and the government will take care of the rest. This is a full hazmat situation. So if there was a buried oil tank, I would not be buying the house. So as we move into the final two, which you may or may not have heard about or thought about, I want to remind you, this is why you need to call me. I want to be on your side. I have grown up here. I know these houses. I know these markets. I know these neighborhoods. I know what we need to be concerned about. We are looking at a house in X community. I can be like, oh, we need to have a septic inspection. Or quite honestly, I can be the other way. I can be like, you know what? This house was built in X and it was done Y and they've got all the receipts right here. I think we're good. I don't think we need to do X, Y, or Z. This is why you need to call me first. All right. So coming up next on our list, wow, this one was at my house too. And we don't have a lot of these. Houses with a flat roof. They're just a pain in the tuchus. You see them a lot in other parts of the country. You actually do not see them a lot here, but they can cause issues for a variety of reasons. I know of two neighborhoods in and around the area that actually I see a lot of flat roofs, but overall in the scheme of things, we don't have any. I would never own a house with a flat roof. And last but not least, and this one cracks me up because homes with over-the-top custom features. I would never buy a home with over-the-top custom features. Whether it's I remember showing a house to a client that was very eclectic. It had indoor water fountains. We're not talking like a water thing. We're talking like full-on water features. It had pass-throughs. It was bizarre. But all I could think about was the average buyer. I mean, again, let me put it this way. If you love it and everything about it clicks for you, great. Then maybe that's the right home for you. But then mentally, you need to always keep in mind, well, plot twist, now you have to sell the house and move. Homes that have over-the-top custom features are going to eliminate and hurt resale value. The pool of potential buyers will be cut in half. Some common ones, and these are things that are not even a big deal. Your house has a pool, an in-ground pool. Well, that's going to eliminate half the buyers because they don't want a pool. They're not going to fill it in because that will be that would be thousands of dollars. But if they want a pool, then they want a pool. People who on corner lots. I had a client who absolutely adored corner lots, and that's what she wanted, and that's what she got. But I have people who do not want a corner lot because they feel like they are out in the middle of everybody. We were talking about the power lines and the busy roads, backing up to a railroad track or having a railroad track in front of you. I had a client who actually wanted that. I had to send out a special search to my local realtor saying, I know this is something you do not tout because it is outside of your property lines and you can't say boo about it. But I am looking for properties that are in earshot and, even better yet, eyesight of trains. I got at least a dozen agents going, oh, I've got the one for you. Homes with over-the-top, not that that's a custom feature, but anything that's going to make it special like that is going to eliminate buyers. Okay, so there you go. Those are all homes that I personally would never buy. There are always going to be circumstances for every single one or kind. And again, these are my things. These are not your things. But these are things that I want to make sure that are pointed out, because the rose-colored glasses of moving to a community or moving into a new home can be blinding. And I want to make sure, because this is going to be one of the largest purchases in your life. Even if you have already owned 5 homes, this is still going to be one of the largest purchases of your life. This is what I do day in and day out. So this is why I want to do this for you. I want you to find the takeaway that we will find you the right home. It's out there for you. But Virginia is a buyer beware state. So part of that, especially with any house, especially a resale house, is going to be that the owner has to give a written disclosure. Now, in many states, they have to go through and answer physical questions. Have you ever had a hole in the roof? Have you ever had water in the basement? Have you ever found dead bodies in the yard? Here in Virginia, it's a single form, and it basically says, I know of nothing that is wrong with my house, and I'm selling it to you. I have never seen a disclosure with anything listed. And again, the flip house, it had nothing listed. It was happily signed off on by the owner who had owned it for 6 full months and put lipstick on a pig. Virginia is a buyer beware state, and another prime reason that you need me on your team. So you need to reach out, call, text, email before you start, so we know what the best plan is for you. And so I can be the little angel and the little devil on your shoulders. And on that note, I'm going to let you get back to what you were doing. I'm going to take off. I need to go meet some clients out at the new house that we are under contract on, since we had to drop contract on their last one because it was lipstick on a pig flip house. So if there is something I can answer for you, talk about, do a tour about, please leave me a message below. On the same token, if you're local and you've had an experience with any of these kind of houses, I'd love to hear it. If you bought a house unknowing and then you got in the house and you were like, what? Then I definitely want to hear about it. It's good for us to share our knowledge. The more we know, the better we are. So until next time, and we can talk more about living in Charlottesville.